You may have played poker, but playing poker in Texas is a different animal. This is the Texas Poker Podcast with Tyler and Clint.
Hello, this is the Texas Poker Podcast. I'm Tyler. This is Clint.
What's up, y'all?
And we are back with episode 55.
Episode 55. So, Tyler, how you been playing a lot of sessions this week?
I have been playing a lot of sessions, and I guess I've also been putting that loose, aggressive image to the test.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest strengths of your game, is really using that image that you build up at the table to your advantage. So that is something I do, but definitely not as well as you. As far as kind of, you literally from the moment you sit down are trying to construct a certain image, and I've seen it work out. Well, I've seen it work out really well and really bad at times, but usually more well than bad.
Right? It's actually weird because you haven't heard this hand, but it's funny you say right when I sit down I'm trying to work on an image because I got a hand for you.
Oh, yeah.
I'm under the gun +1. I went to 101 Katie this week. Just felt like shaking it up, and it was kind of a late night session. They really do have some. They're actually they're open pretty late during most days.
They seem to get quite a bit of action over there. There's a ton of poker rooms in Houston now, but not all of them have that kind of almost 24-hour action. Katie seems, I don't know if they have 24 action, but definitely seems to get a lot of action compared to rooms. I
left at 4 in the morning and it had 2 tables going, so.
Yeah, that's pretty close to it then.
But okay, so I'm under the gun +1. The first hand, I get dealt king, queen. I make it 35, I get 2 callers. The flop comes 10, deuce, 6 with a flush draw. I do not have this flush draw. I bet 65, I get 1 caller. The turn, let's see, the turn is a deuce. I bet 150.
Okay, so I kind of like this. Okay, you're basically repping an overpair here. But here's the thing that makes me nervous about your bet is there's 2 likely hands he's going to have. The deuce changes nothing. He's either going to have a 10, which I think is going to call here, or a flush draw, which is going to call here. So I kind of not really certain what the object is to bet this turn. Well, what's your reasoning here?
Setting up the river bluff.
Oh, God.
River bricks the flush draw. How much do you think we have to bet to get him to fold here?
Yeah, I don't know if he went over this hand, and I don't want to be biased.
No, you have not heard this hand.
I have not heard this hand.
100% you have not heard this hand.
Okay, there 100% what I would do here is I would either bet super small or I would check. And here's the reasonings. The 10, if he has a 10 with the brick flush draw, he's probably not letting that go. And if he has a flush draw, you're going to beat the majority of flush draws with just king high. I might actually check call here if it's I'm getting reasonable odds, actually. So that would be my first thought. Now, let me know what you did, because I already know this is not exactly what happened here.
Yeah, I could not have let that check through. I bet 350. And he tanked forever. He counted the chips out. I said, oh, no. And then he put them back. I said, thank God. Then he took them back out again. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. Because you do that thing where you kept taking them out, putting them back. And then he'd uncover his cards. I was like, here we go. Glory. And then he kept capping him. He's thinking forever and a day.
That's the most nerve-wracking thing. We're in the middle of the bluff, and you see him basically count out the chips, and you're like, oh, shit.
He folded.
He folded? So this is a very good bluff, because it seems like you got him off of a 10.
You know I showed it.
Oh, I bet he looked so distraught.
He was. He was distraught when he folded, and he was super distraught after.
I can see that. That's like I say, I like my line better for like most of the time, but it seems like you chose a perfect line for whatever he had there.
It was funny because he said in the hand he was thinking if I was capable of doing the triple barrel bluff. Because, I bought him for 1,000. This pot got pretty big pretty quick.
Yeah, I will say this. If you are going to try to get him off of a 10 here, you have to do exactly what you did. So it's I just didn't think with the front door flush missing that he would fold there. But it seems like you really just really had this hand down.
And then I played this other hand where I had 4-5, and the flop came. I ended up with a straight draw, and I called the flop because I think it was
Like a open-ended straight draw on the flop? Okay.
And it was a flush draw as well. I didn't have the flush draw, but there was a flush draw. Guy raised pretty big pre-flop. Ton of people called. So I was like, all right, here we go. So I have 4-5. The flop comes, where is it? 6-7, like 10, something like that.
Okay.
Guy bets pretty big. I would think it was like 100. But,
How much was? Do you remember how much that was in relation to the size of the pot?
normal open was about 30. Everyone had about over 1,000 in their stack. So 3, 6, 9. So I'd say probably 120. 120 in the pot.
So he's betting just a little under pot, it sounds like.
Yeah. I called. I brick the turn, the flush bricks. I check, he checks. The river is a king. I lead out for 300, hoping to get him to lay down 10. Maybe missed flush draws because I still only have 5 high.
Right.
He snap calls with pocket queens.
He snap calls with pocket queens. So it was a 10 high flop, right?
Yes.
What was the turn again?
Thought it was a 10.
No. So he had an overpair until the river?
No, sorry, it was 10 high. Yeah, he had to overpair to the river. Yes.
Weird check on the turn by him, right?
Super weird, which is why I thought he might have had a flush draw, which then maybe just well played by him, I guess.
I
Right.
guess. I mean, maybe so. I actually kind of like this bluff better than the other one, even though this one didn't work. You have this straight draw. He bets, you call, and then you have 5 high on the river, which seems like a good time to actually, like, you're gonna beat all the missed draws are gonna fold when you do this. So I actually see a lot of reasoning for this bet, but I think you told me earlier, and I thought you were trying to represent the king, but there's no way to know this guy is this strong the way he played it. So I think he played it kind of. I don't know if he played it well but whatever he did, he took kind of a strange line that made it hard to kind of see what he had.
I thought I could have got him to fold that hand. Possibly.
Maybe, but when you call the flop, I don't know how many kings you have on that flop. So I don't know. Have you been seen bluffing at this table at all yet?
No, he was a fresh player from the PLO, said he was stuck horribly in PLO.
Well, if somebody's stuck horribly, way more likely to call, right?
I did not hear him say that, but apparently people confirmed he said it.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes a lot of sense. But that being said, like I say, I don't know that you're repping a ton of kings here anyways. And were you in position or out of position here?
Out of position.
So you call the flop. You would have checked the turn. You actually have a lot stronger hands than he does on this board. Just because you would check call the flop with most of your strong hands. You would check the turn and flow. So when you bet this river, it looks like you could have something. And most of your top pairs you would have enough showdown value to check. I thought you played this pretty well. He just had a hand that it was very hard to tell. I actually like your line here.
Well, that resulted in add-on. So here was an interesting hand for you. I'll give you the very brief because basically the end result is all you need to hear. I'm in a hand three ways with a guy who we all moved tables from. Oh, geez. I'm missing one key hand that I forgot to tell you about on purpose to get your reaction on the podcast.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm very curious about it.
We're playing short-handed. I'm in the straddle. I have 8-4 suited again.
Of course.
I think some guy, he made it like 15, and I was in the straddle for 6, and we were 5-handed.
Okay.
So I called.
That's fine. I think if you're in the straddle, you got to defend it a little bit wide, right? And
Or you
it's at least
shouldn't-
as suited.
Or you shouldn't straddle.
Right.
I flopped flopped very little. Flopped almost nothing. Maybe backdoor. I had backdoor hearts and backdoor straight outs.
Okay.
It was 10 high though. I remember that for sure. And he bet like 20, and I was like, meh. I called. And then turn of 4.
Okay.
There's a pretty small pot though. He bets 25.
Ugh, this is getting kind of dicey. I mean, well, it's not a huge bet or whatever. Even turning the equity of the 4, when he double barrels the turn, I might be folding here. Obviously, you didn't, or else you would not have waited to tell me now.
Yeah.
But it's something I think I might do there. Obviously, I'm assuming you make the call.
Yeah, right. Super tilted player. I call river a 4.
Oh my god! You freaking luck box.
I check it to him. He bets 75. He says, "Are you gonna call? Are you gonna fold?" I told him, "I'm definitely raising." He says, "Don't raise too much." I told him, "I'm definitely raising." I make it 800 to go.
Holy crap! He made it. Wait, how much again? 75?
75.
And how do you come up with 800?
I had a stack of green with 3 blacks on top.
Oh, were you all in?
No, and he covered me.
Wow. Okay, I am blown away.
He calls.
He calls?
He flopped 2 pair.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm assuming he flopped 2 pair. He showed a 10, and that was it. And then he just said, "I thought you were bluffing." That was it.
Well, we don't know that he even flopped 2 pair, I guess, right?
True.
Because he didn't bet it like he had 2 pair the entire way.
True, and he was a player who was kind of lying about his hand a lot.
How did he possibly call this? I don't know. This is beyond me how he makes this call here.
I think you have to chalk it up to showing bluffs and also folding when called, snap folding with no showdown value. I mean, he saw it. It got in his head.
I think so. Yeah, I 100% believe you would get a call here, whereas I never would, because you do build an image that you're looking to capitalize on.
So then we go to the next table. So now tables combine. We're playing one of the guys who was at the table for the bluffs and all that was moved to the table to my right. This is the hand that's going to skim through pretty quick just because you just need to hear kind of the end results.
Okay.
I end up calling a $100 bet on the turn with a flush draw. No, I called a $100 bet on the flop, folded the turn, and then the guy folded as well. And then the guy to my right showed the guy to his right the hand. And then when the dealer was like, you have to show everyone, he took his cards and threw them in the muck and shuffled the muck.
Oh, that's such a dick move.
Yeah.
Wow, that's... I don't know. I feel sorry for these dealers that they're put in these weird spots because people just are kind of either just immature idiots. I really feel bad for dealers sometimes because that's such a ridiculous move.
Well, the table got after him because everyone got mad at him, and he was like, he goes, "I know I'm not supposed to do it, but I did it anyway." So yeah, exactly.
Did the dealer call the floor?
No.
To me, like, that's one of the situation where the dealer, like, I'm not saying you, like, people act like dipshits all the time. I'm not saying you remove him from the table, but I do believe you give him a warning. If you're like, if you do that again, then you can outplay, because that's admitting you know the rule and saying you break it. You're breaking it and basically giving everybody the middle finger. You if you're the room, you can't stand for that.
So, as you know, karma comes quick.
Oh, I'm about to love you.
Yeah.
You know how I love a good revenge story.
So, that guy opens a 35. I have pocket fives. I call. The whole table calls but one person. The flop in the window is the 5.
See, when you said that everybody calls, I was kind of loved that. Because there's certain hands I don't want that. But a 5, if you get a set, you're almost always good. And I want the best odds possible if I do hit a set. So I actually liked all the calls, but that's great. So in the windows of 5?
Followed by 3-3 with a flush draw.
Oh, wow. This is great.
Yeah. He bets 175. I call. Everyone folds. The turn is a king. He checks. I bet 400. He ships it for 1,250.
Oh my God.
I snap call. He has pocket queens.
He has pocket queens?
Yeah. All right.
Pocket queens?
Yeah. The game is good.
Oh, God. Okay. I'm taking everything I said back. If people are shipping it with middle pair for $1,200 in a 1-3 game, I mean, if I'm at the table, you can act like as big a jackass as you want, and you are welcome at my table.
Well, I think it was because he saw me do that same type of move to the player at the last table where the overcard came. I bet it like I had it and then didn't have it.
Yeah, that's
because he called and says, well, if you have it, you have it. I was like, wow. That's what you want to hear when you have it. River at 3. I was like, oh, God. But then it was fine.
Oh, my God. That's, to get, like, because that king should have been a savior card for him.
Yep.
On there. It's because once you ship it.
No. I didn't ship it.
I thought you did ship it.
No.
Oh, he shipped it.
He shipped it. I made it 400, then he went over the top.
Oh, wow. So did he check to you?
Yes.
He check raise with queens here. God, this is such a great game right here.
Yeah, like I said, the karma came quick.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that happened to someone regardless, like I say, if you're that big of a fish with that big of a stack, I mean, I don't want you kicked off the table, but I am glad he got what was coming to him.
Once everything was said and done, after those 2 big hands, $1,200 win.
$1,200. Oh, that's a really nice win. How long did you play?
We'll call it 3 hours and 52 minutes.
That's damn good for not a super long session. A really good session there.
Yep, and then I guess we'll get into the session that we just played now.
Yeah. So we are currently recording at ass early in the morning, and I woke up, almost 24 hours ago. So Tyler's going to have to do a hard carry of this podcast. But we just got finished at the Doghouse, where it was, I would say, a pretty interesting session, right?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting for sure.
I thought the table was really good. I thought the table was a lot of fun to play with. It was a mix of players who knew what they were doing and fun to play with, and just enough players to kind of be a pretty profitable table in the long run.
Yeah. I guess I'll start the hands off for you.
Okay.
Before you get out there, I had pocket jacks. I only call behind someone opening to 35. The flop came king, deuce, like 3 with a flush draw. Player bets real small, like 25. I call.
How many people are in this pot?
Heads up.
Oh, this is okay. Heads up. This makes a lot more sense. Okay.
Turn is a brick on the flush, basically just a brick in general under a jack. He checks, I check.
Okay, this is good for you.
The river bricks the flush draw to 10.
Okay.
He bets 175.
God, how much would the pot be right there?
I guess we have to think about it.
Yeah.
So that's 30 pre-flops. We'll call it 60 plus another 50 for the 25-25. We'll call it 110. He overbets pot.
So he overbet the pot. So you're getting pretty good odds here. I think once he checks the turn, you have to call here.
I called hoping he had a missed flush draw. He had king 10 for river 2 pair. I told him he got lucky, but he flopped me dead basically. But on the plus side, it was against a player who I know is capable of putting in that bluff with the missed flush draw.
Yeah, once he checks, because the flop bet could have been a ton of things. It could be a standard C bet or anything like that. Once he checks the turn, I feel like this is something that you were going to lose 2 streets of value here. It's just a matter of when. If he bets the turn, this guy kind of played this very well. Because if he bets the turn, I think you get away from it.
Yep, probably.
But once he checks the turn, it does not look like he has much, especially with a flush draw out there. So I don't know. It seems like it was pretty standard, really.
And then on my notes, I have pocket kings lose.
Well, that was intriguing.
Not the best note taking at all. I'm pretty sure I bet like 35 pre-flop, got called by ace 7 offsuit. He flopped an ace. It's great.
Hell, that'll happen with pocket kings. If you have pocket kings, the ace is coming on the flop.
But here's basically the gigantic hand of the session. So I get king queen suited, king queen of hearts. So you finally arrived. So I was like, well, all right, now we got to play a big pot.
Right.
So I make it 35. I get 2 callers.
Wait, what do you have again?
King queen of hearts.
King queen of hearts. Okay.
The flop comes 5, 8. Do you remember the other card? Was it a deuce?
I had just gotten there, and I was still watching kind of the basketball game. I remember being super baffled at the end, but I don't remember anything until then.
Okay. I bet 85. Guy to my left raises to 300. So I was like, well, this is a fold. My odds aren't that great. Guy to my right ships it for 350. So, well, this is a little bit more enticing now.
Ooh, is it though?
I felt it at the time.
Well, okay, but now you have 2 people who are really into this pot. I'm a little nervous that you could be up against an ace high flush draw, but then you're drawing basically dead.
True.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Your pot odds are much better, and there are way more flush draws that you're ahead of than behind. But I mean, it would concern me. I think now I'm making the call too, but I'd be very concerned.
I called. I already know the action's not open. The guy tries to ship it. That ain't good. So
yeah, that turn's gonna get real dicey.
So he calls. I brick the turn. It's like maybe like a 3. He then ships it. I look down at my stack. I see the 2 red stacks of 100. So in my head, I only had 200 more behind. This was a complete blunder on my end. So I looked down and I said, well, I only have 1 card to come, but it's 200 more to win a gigantic pot, right?
Right.
So I said call through a chip in. And when I went to slide my red chips in, I knocked down a stack of greens that were in front of my chips that I thought I'd already bet. And it called for way more money than anticipated.
Yeah. This is, once you told me this hand after the session, it made so much more sense. Because I could not, you may act crazy at the table, but you really have good reasoning, 95% of the time. There's 5% where you're just off the rails.
Yeah. Well, this one, so I went to slide the chips in and felt the other chips fall. And I was like, oh, I've made a gigantic error here.
Yeah, that makes way more sense. Because I remember looking at it, I was like, he only had 1 card to come. Like, what was going on there? Because it was a gigantic, like, all-in kind of at the on that turn.
Right. River of the Heart pairs the board. The guy had 5-8 of diamonds for flop 2 pair.
Yeah, and it was an 8 of hearts. That had to be so hurtful to see that heart and think you might have a chance for a second and realize that it was just doused.
Well, especially whenever I was like made such a horrible call on the turn. And then I was thinking I might have actually just won and then lose. I was like, wow, phenomenal.
Yeah, no kidding. That's really I saw that and I was like, oh god, that's a hurtful one. But I'm glad I was able to get your breakdown of it because it makes way more sense. And we've all made blunders like that before, so it's no big deal. But at the same token, it, like I say, when I was watching it from the outside looking in, I was like, what in the hell just went on here? Yeah,
I cannot think of much worse feeling than when you call the all-in, start moving your chips forward, and then realize you have way more in front of you. Completely my fault, but it was just a horrible feeling when it happened.
Oh yeah, it's the worst when you're doing that. So
I probably visibly looked shook afterward.
You really kind of did when you never really I look that way, but you really never do look that way. You kind of did a little bit.
Yeah, mainly because it was 100% my fault that I misread how many chips I had in my stack. Because if I would have known I had another 350 behind, so it was like 550 on the turn. Never make that call.
Well, see, I saw you look a little visibly shaken, but at the same token, I thought you just, we all make bad plays, knowing we made bad plays. Hell, you're gonna hear one of mine tonight. Probably, maybe more. I thought you just kind of knew that you had really just made kind of a bad call or whatever. I didn't realize that the reasoning for it at the time.
Well, so when I make it 85 and it goes to 350, I don't mind that call as much knowing the action is closed. I don't mind it on that board.
Well, you don't mind it with the stack size that you thought you had.
Right. Well, no, I'm just saying even with, that, yes, but I'm saying whenever it was, what would it be, like 270 more to win, what would that be, 1,000?
Well, here's the problem, is you're getting great odds, but you only have one card. You only have one card.
No. I'm talking the flop.
Oh, on the flop?
Yes.
Without a doubt.
That's what I'm saying. The flop I didn't mind.
Well, You mean the flop was when it went 3 to 350, right?
Yes, I made it 85, got raised to 300. He jams for 350, and then
yeah, you've already got 85 there. Here's the problem though. So you're 1 to 3 to win, and you're getting direct 1 to 3 odds, right?
yes,
So the problem being is you're not really 1 and 3 here because once the turn bricks, there's a good chance because you're only seeing one card, so you're only you're less than 1 out of 5 to get it on the turn, and then if he jams the turn, you're kind of in a weird spot. This is kind of why, like, the stack behind, it's way easier to play if you had what you thought you had 200.
but I like that part didn't bother me as much. So I was like, okay, that was fine.
Right.
But then on the turn, calling that bet and then not knowing that part. I mean, it's like it was a mix of playing bad, it tilts you more whenever you play a hand badly than get unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was kind of like that mix of like, not only did I play bad, I also like misread my stack, which is like makes you feel like a complete chump.
Oh, we've all been there sometimes before.
Yeah, so I was like, well, better add on for a ton. So I added on for a ton.
I'm playing horrible. Let me get as many chips in front of me as humanly possible.
So let's think. What hand do you want to go over one of your hands before? Because I think I have.
I guess so, because that was right after I got there. So we can go over.
Or do you want me to go with the 8-4 hand again?
Here, I'll go over one. I'm in the big blind, and me and you ended up in a lot of hands together tonight. Did you notice that?
Yes.
We almost never do, and we really kind of... I just seem to always have something when you were straddling or something. I was in the big blind. You make it 20, and there's 2 call, and I call with pocket 7s. The flop is 7 jack 6, all clubs. I check and flow. You do not take the bait. You check, and it checks around.
Yeah, I had a complete garbage hand.
Did you? Oh, well, I mean, it's a straddle, so you could have anything here. The turn is 10 off. I bet 55, and I'll fold. Not the biggest hand, but that's kind of a blah hand, but it was still kind of interesting.
So I guess we should go over the hand. I guess I'll go over my big hand, then we'll finish out your session here.
Okay.
So I get 8-4. Was I in the button straddle?
The 8-4. Oh God. Okay. I actually forgot about the hands just now. I don't remember if you were in the button straddle or not. I don't think so.
Well, this is weird, but I end up with 8-4. Oh, I called because of the last hand I told you about when running 4s. I was like, man, let's see a flop.
Okay. Well, that's some high-level poker analysis right there.
Yeah. So when
4s, they're hot.
No, 8-4 is hot. And
okay.
Saying I got dealt 8-4.
Well, then you should be 3-betting.
So I call. We see this pot very multi-way. I think he must have made it like 20 pre-flop.
Okay, sounds about right.
The flop now comes 8-8-3 with a flush draw.
This is a dream come true for you.
I bet. Oh, that is right. Because I must have been out of position. Because I bet. Was it 75?
Did you dunk lead into him?
I think I did with the flush draw. Because I wanted to bet this. Because I remember thinking I wanted to bet this. Didn't want this to check through.
This. I don't think that's the route it went. Right? Because he bet 75. I thought you raised it to like 200.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. You're 100% right. I checked it. He bet like 30, 35, and then I raised big to 200.
Yeah, because I remember the raise to 200 being like, because at the time I'm thinking, oh God, Tyler's trying to rep an 8 that he doesn't have, and this is gonna be some kind of god awful head-on collision for a train wreck on the podcast. I remember that. So yeah, I remember you making it 200 and him staring at that pot for a long time before he made a move.
He made it 500. I do remember that.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, I mean, I need to probably count my stack here because my options are going to be probably pretty limited.
I think this got you more action. Because when you were counting your stack, because you're like, you kind of made a deal. You're like, I'm going to have to count my stack and all this. I think it made him believe that you did not have anything and you were trying to basically posture for a fold. It definitely looked that way from the outside looking in.
Yeah, well, I was thinking I definitely wanted to raise, but then, I mean, what am I going to make it? That's why I say I need to count my stack here.
Yeah, I definitely know. Well, I, knowing you, knew that there was some type of reasoning for it. Like, you're usually not doing this to posture. But from the outside looking in, if I didn't know you, it definitely looked that way. And I think that might have actually really helped you in this hand.
Well, I ended up having, what would it be, like 1,400 total, counting the 200 in there. I think I counted 12 out on the side first, right?
I think it was like 1371 or something like that. Yeah, it was around right there.
So I was like, well, I'm all in. Then he snap calls. I'm like, oh boy. So
yeah, which is weird because when he on his, what was it? His re-raise of yours, he took forever to do anything. And yeah, you're right. Snap called that very quickly.
I was thinking like, oh God, if he has pocket threes, I'm so sad.
Oh, I mean, it has to go through your head. I mean, there's only so many things you could have here.
Wow, and I only run it once. So
we also should say that there is a flush draw on the board. I don't know if we mentioned that on the flop.
Well, if not, there is. It's 8-3 of spades with the 8 of clubs.
Right.
The turn is the ace of spades.
Yeah. So when I didn't know what you had, I thought you might be trying to rep something. I thought you could be bluffing, really. And then when you said you had the 8, I was like, oh God, Tyler's got it here. And then when that ace of spades came, I was like, well, Tyler's gonna be so sad.
River and ace to give me 8s full of aces. And I was a little worried that he had an ace.
I didn't think he had an ace. Once the second ace came, I thought it actually saved you. Because I was like, I didn't know what he could have other than a flush draw here.
And then he shows pocket 9s.
Did not expect that.
I mean, I whispered it to you, but in my head I was yelling, how disrespectful. I mean, just to ship, like, that was so crazy to think that I would not show up better than pocket 9s there.
I
think of how easy it is to play correctly whenever you re-raise someone like that. I mean, you're not getting called by... I mean, he basically turned 9s into a bluff, right?
Well, yeah, basically. Well, not even really, because he called you.
Yeah, good point. I don't know.
I mean, you can't turn it into a bluff and call. I don't know. Well, did you have him covered?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I don't know what the odds he was getting. He still had a lot more behind the 500. I do know that. Maybe he didn't have the entire 1371 or 1400, but it was
close.
Very close. So he had big incentive to fold here because once you ship this, you just are... I mean, you have an 8 here every time. I mean, the shittiest hand you're going to wind up with is actually the one you have. with 8 and shitty kicker. So, really, in all honesty, this is the shittiest hand you have here. Even you with your crazy bluffs are not five betting all in on a paired board.
Most likely. Yeah.
Tyler's like, actually, most of the time, he's good here.
But that was, I guess, the last real interesting hand I played. I had a bomb pot where I got lucky and didn't get paid, so that was great. But and then I guess I'll just round out my whole week for you real quick. I guess because only 2 interesting hands happened at my other session at Doghouse. So on that hand, after that boat or that 8 full of aces, I still ended up being down like a little bit less than a buy-in.
I was kind of shocked because that was such a gigantic hand, and I guess I really didn't get there until a little bit later after you lost some. I was like, because that was such a huge hand, but I was glad you still made a little bit of a comeback from what you were down, so that's good.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were there. I mean, I was up whenever you got there. I busted some guy. I mean, the call was pretty loose. I called him with 8-5 suited, all in pre-flop, and stacked him. But
that's right, because you told me that's how I got seat, because it was filled up when I first got there.
Well, I had raised to like 35, trying to isolate a deep stack, and got jammed on for like 100.
That's fine. You've got odds against most things.
Yeah, I called the deep stack calls. I river 2 pair, bet 50, deep stack calls. I'm good. So
yeah.
But okay, so let me just finish out these. So then I went into Doghouse. Things were going great for me. I was up maybe like $200 or $300. Then I played this hand. Actually, I got boat over boated in PLO.
Mm-hmm.
And that did not bode well for me at all. But and then so I get boat over boated. I go and add on, and I get Jack 8. The flop comes Jack, super multi-way with a flush draw. I check it. Everyone checks around.
Wait, this is in PLO?
No, this is Hold'em.
Oh, this is Hold'em. Okay, I got you.
So I have Jack 8. It was either Jack 8 or I think it was Jack 9 actually. I had Jack 9. The flop comes Jack, like 3 or something. I check it. Everyone checks it. I turn the 9, so I have not Jacks full of 9s.
Okay.
I check it. It checks around.
Why did you check the turn?
Set in the trap.
Oh God. Okay.
River is a 6.
Okay.
I check it through again. It's a very small pot.
I mean, it's been checked all the way down. I'm very aware. When nobody bets, that's what happens to the spot. Okay.
Guy bets pot for like 50. Everyone folds back to me. He goes ready to show his hand. I said, whoa, don't show your hand yet. I'm all in.
You're all in for how much do you have?
I think I covered him for sure. I think he had like 800, 900 behind, maybe 1,000.
I can see where people just hate playing against you.
He calls.
He calls?
He calls. He rivered a boat. I'd already turned a bigger boat. He was drawing dead. He had Jack 6.
Oh my God.
This
is just for the way you played this is just the ultimate cooler. This is one of the ones where I don't even mind his call here.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah, this is the way this is played. It just looks like you're bullying to no end, and yeah, it's wow, what a river card. But okay, this is kind of his fault. Why are you both checking trip jacks all the way down to the river?
Well, sometimes you got to just set the trap. You just set the trap. You know?
Were y'all trying to trap each other, I guess?
Well, once I turned the boat, I was thinking I needed someone to really hit a flush to give me some action, because it was going to be tough to get action here.
Yeah.
Was my thought, at least, in the moment.
Oh, yeah. That's... Well, luckily he hits that. This is such a weird hand, man. I cannot. I mean, float flop trips. Check all the. You turn a boat. You still check it all the way down, and then the river hits him to magically give you ridiculous action. This is a strange hand right here.
So after I get paid infinitely, I turned bottom pair into a bluff, and it did not work. It was a very interesting hand. I had 4-5 suited. I flopped a 5. It was 3 ways. Turned brick on the flush draw. I did not have a flush draw. The river was like an 8, but somehow it was a misdeal or something. So I had to turn the river in and then reshuffle it and give us a new river.
Okay.
River is an ace. So the front, so like if you had Jack 10, the most obvious straight draw, you just hit.
Okay.
So it was King, Queen, 5, Ace. I don't remember the other card. But I tried raising real big on this hand, on this river. Guy had pocket aces, did not fold.
Yeah, I mean, when they're sitting with second nuts, they don't like to fold.
Yeah, so managed to lose that session. So, yeah, that felt horrible. But the week was good. That session was bad.
Were you positive for the week?
Yes.
That's pretty good, because that was a little bit of a hit we just took. So pretty good that you are able to still have a positive week there. Let me see. So I'll go with the Doghouse session that we just finished. I started out running pretty hot. I had the set of 7s. I then have ace deuce of clubs. Again, this is when you were straddling. You straddle 6. I bet 20 and then 2 call. I'm assuming you're one of them.
For sure.
Yeah. I flop ace high. Well, I flop an ace. There's 2 spades, 1 club.
Oh, no, I wasn't in this hand. I folded ace 6.
Oh, you floated ace 6?
Yeah.
Well, offsuit probably.
Yeah, it was offsuit, and I was not in the straddle.
Oh, okay. You what?
I was not in the straddle, if I remember this hand.
Oh, okay. Well, these notes are horrible then. Flop ace, a pair of aces, 2 spades, 1 club. I bet 35. There's 1 call. I'm a little nervous whenever I'm sitting there with ace deuce on an ace high board and I bet and there's a call, but there are flush draws. Well, I then turn 2 pair. I turn the deuce, which is great. I'm now beating all aces, except it is a deuce of spades and makes the flush. He then donks 35. I don't know what to make of this because it's kind of a small bet into the spot. Because it would have been 60 to the flop, 35, 70. So he bets 35 into 130. So I'm kind of stuck where there's no way I'm ever folding here, and raising would be suicidal. I call. It's a clean river. It goes check, check, and I'm good.
I did not realize that you turned the deuce. I thought you just won with an ace.
No, I turned 2 pair.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I would have won that hand. I remember that hand.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I don't know. Did you flop 2 pair?
No, I just had an ace. I didn't see you turn 2 pair. I was thinking you were so far out of line in this hand.
Wait, are you talking about the same? I had an ace deuce hand we talked about earlier. This is not the same ace deuce hand.
Oh, then I might have been in the straddle. I thought this was a different ace deuce hand.
Yeah, it's a. So I win that pot, which is not a huge pot, but it's decent size. This one is really weird. I have ace 8. It's a Omaha double barred bomb pot. I have ace 8, which ends up being the only 2 cards that matter here. I pretty much missed the flop, and I'm done with it. But it does check all the way around. I flop an 8. I turn an 8 on one board. You bet 20 on the turn. I call, and I said, I have it written now, the world calls, because everybody called that bet. The river is a 5, and then a guy bets pot. It folds around to me. The only one left, I think, is you. And this is one of those hands where you should not be calling to chop a whole lot. But the way this hand played, the only hands that beat me, I've got trips with the best kicker on that board. There's no straight, there's no flush, and there was king queen out there, and set of kings and set of queens were definitely betting the flop. So this is one of those, or raising the turn. So I feel like there's just not that many boats out there. I call. You actually show an 8 and fold, which is a pretty good fold right there. And then we chopped the pot. He was playing the other board. So that was another good one. So at this point, I'm cruising. And I'm having a blast. Like, I came in in a real good mood because I'd won some sports bets. Both, like, basically buzzer beaters tonight. The Memphis and Atlanta game. So, and then I just instantly start winning. There's a pretty cool, it's a pretty cool vibe at the table. Everybody was pretty cool. And I'm just cruising. And then the world starts to turn. I get pocket kings. A pretty loose player bets 25. Another player calls for 25. I make it at 100 to go with pocket kings. The loose player ends up folding. The other player calls. The flop, of course, is ace 8-5. He jams for 130 into a pot of about 240. It's one of those that I feel like he's pot stuck no matter what. I don't know. This is a very close. I'm not sure if I can't fold here, but I think it's pretty close either way. I end up making the call, and he shows ace-9 of diamonds. So, yeah, you can call that a cooler. You could call that something as I could have folded. It could go either way right there. What do you make that call in that situation?
I feel like you have to with that player because he could be jamming with less than an ace there, I would think.
Well, yeah, he's kind of pot stuck with everything right there. So I don't know. It was a very close one for me.
And he had just sat down too, so we didn't really have much of a read on him. So I was kind of like, I don't know. I think I'm probably calling there.
So I'll lose that one, and it ends up, I think, tilting me a little bit into losing a pretty big one with double board bomb pot. I had a bunch of draws. I got roped into probably something I shouldn't have and called way too light, and probably called too light. So it's one of those, and so that busts me out, and I go from up 400 to now down 400, and I'm like, God Almighty.
You look super distraught after that bomb pot.
I was so distraught, man. Because it's one thing to kind of have it whittled down or be up a little bit. But when I doubled up and I was having such a good time, I mean, because everything went good for 2 hours, and then in 25 minutes, it just went to shit.
Yeah, when those two rivers came to go, that ain't good.
I ended up buying back in, and there were a couple big hands. One was the ace deuce hand. This one I don't understand either. This is the same one that was against the 8-4 guy.
Yeah, this is the one I folded ace-6.
Okay, this is it. It's I think I remember. I think somebody straddled because I make it 20 to go.
Yeah, it was me who straddled.
Oh, was it you who straddled?
Yeah, I remember this hand now.
Oh, okay. It's I could make it 20 to go, and a ton of people call. This is actually, you straddled. There were several calls, and I ended up making this 35 with ace deuce of diamonds.
Yeah, I was about to say, I did not fold for 20. I folded, for 35.
And a ton of people called that. So the flop comes ace high, and I'm like, I'm not loving ace deuce. I know I'm not encouraging everybody who listens. I mean, if you have ace deuce and the ace goes, go crazy with it. but I end up going to. I am going to assume my top pair is the best until I hear differently from somebody. I bet pretty hard on this one, like 70, into like I think it was 135. 140, 175. No, I would have bet more. I bet like 100 into 175. One player calls. I don't love it already. A diamond comes on the turn, giving me the nut flush draw. This, I'm not certain if I played very well. My thought in the moment was, I just gained equity. Now, I'm the one who raised. There's an ace. There's a queen out there. I have most of the ace kings. I have most of the ace queens. Most of the pocket queens. Maybe I can bet and actually turn my ace into a bluff, kind of, and get him off of something like ace 8, ace 9.
More like a semi-bluff.
Yeah, more like a semi-bluff. That's a good way to put it. I bet pretty hard. I bet 130 on this. And when he calls, I'm like, well, I'm going to need a diamond here on this river. I'm going to need, at the very least, a deuce. And then to give me 2 pair. And at the best, a diamond. Well, no diamond comes. He just called a gigantic bet. I just check it, basically giving up. He checks it back. I just turn my cards over. I don't feel the need to, sit there and do the waiting game. And super shocked when he mucks his cards. Have no idea what this dude could possibly have. Anything that he's calling with has me beat. Was baffled to no end.
Yeah, I was very confused on that one. That was the one I was like, I would have won. Yeah, I remember that hand.
Yeah, it was a baffling hand, man. I was so certain I was losing there. So certain that you could actually argue that I should be turning my hand into a bluff on the river. So it was super baffling. So there's that hand. I then play a hand with Tyler that's pretty interesting. I have 7-9 of spades. I think Tyler was in the straddle, on this one.
I think so.
I don't think I raised. I think somebody else raised. I call with 7-9 of spades. Tyler calls. So I end up flopping 2 spades and a gutter. I think it was Jack 10, 5 on this board. The player who raised checks to me. I'm like, well, I'm going with this with just both barrels here. So I think I end up betting 30 into this pot. Tyler instantly says, I forget what he said. He's like, I'm not buying this.
I said, you're way out of line. I'm not buying this.
That's right. And he instantly calls. I mean, not what you want to see when you're bluffing. And the other guy calls as well.
I mean, I feel like I motivated him.
You definitely gave him the speech to do it. So the turn comes a 6. The guy checks to me. I'm like, well, I've got tons of equity. I didn't get raised. I bet super big. I bet 85 or 90. And I'm like, I'm going to really put everybody to the test. Tyler then folds. And the other guy tanks forever and a day. And I'm like, please fold, please fold, please fold. He just goes back and forth and ends up folding. And then ends up wanting to see a river. I don't know if no, he said he didn't want to see a river. And then I turned over my 7-9 of spades and said, you're probably good regardless. He was. He had the king 8 for the bigger flush draw. So I was pretty happy with that hand. It was able to steal one that I shouldn't have, even though Tyler read me like a goddamn book.
Yeah, I knew instantly that was not going to fly.
That's very concerning that I am that readable by someone who knows me. Super concerning. So those were the main interesting hands. I end up clawing my way back from a $400 loss to a big $45 win. But whatever, a win's a win. A $45 win is better than a $400 loss.
Hey, you're welcome. You got that because of my King Jack hand. Whenever you flopped in a 2-pair.
Oh yeah, there was one hand. It was me and Tyler heads up. Well, we were heads up to the turn.
Yeah.
And I had flopped 2-pair, ace-6 on a full spade, all spade board. I bet pretty hard when it was checked to me. And everybody folds very quickly. And it gets to Tyler, who I'm like, well, he's probably folding very quickly. Well, he does not. He's then is like, I have pretty much a monster hand, monster draw. And I was like, well, okay. I was like, well, you call. And I was like, I tell him, like, if you call, the turn ain't going to be pretty because I'm is going to the hammer. And Tyler's like, whatever, I'll give you the action. And calls, and I get the most beautiful, like, offsuit 4 that connects literally no draws on the board. And he checks and goes to just look like he's going to muck his cards. I'm all in.
I should have called.
Yeah, it would have been horrid to see you, like, call and see you flop the flush, actually. Just constantly, just completely mind fuck. So that was like I say, I was good. I was very happy to claw my way back from that win. This week I was at Paramount and was able to string together a $432 win. So that was nice, but I was at Doghouse before that and got completely destroyed. I had ace king. I just run through them because for the most part they play themselves. I had ace king, flop an ace, and someone flops a set. I have pocket aces, and someone flops a set. I mean, it's just everything. Someone flopped a set against my overpair or top pair.
Tell us about when you flopped a set in PLO with pocket kings.
Oh God! So it's a crazy table. This is only a hand of noteworthy. I am playing PLO. It is a pretty loose table. Like some of the people have no idea what they're doing. I just call like the minimum here. It's pocket kings, a pretty damn good hand. I flopped the complete nuts with pocket kings. I don't slow play in PLO that often, but this girl is betting everything. And actually, this was not limp. She raised pot, and I called. And I'm sitting there wondering, well, do I check to her? Because I know she's going to bet and just repot it. Or because there is a flush draw out there, and I don't really want to give a free card. Well, before it ever even gets to me, someone leads into me. So I'm like, well, this is just your dream come true, because now I can just pot this and get some serious money in there. So I go ahead and pot. The girl who was betting at everything, who raised pre-flop, of course, goes all in. I should say there is no flush draws here either. I mean, there's no straight draws. There's a flush draw. So she goes all in, goes back around to the guy who originally led into me. He goes all in. Now, I should be super happy to get it in with the nuts here, but I'm like, I just rebought. I've been running horrible. I'm like, God, what? There's gonna be a club or something along those lines. So I tell the dealer, I'm like, if I call, can you promise me no clubs? So I end up, of course, making the call with the nuts. And the guy to my right says, I might be drawing dead. He shows me, and I'm like, because I'm obviously looking for who's got what outs against me. He's got a set of threes to my set of kings.
Oh, he might be drawing dead.
His only out is a 3, and I have a 3 in my hand. So he is literally drawing to 0 outs in Omaha, which anybody who plays Omaha knows that that's almost never happens. So the girl, I'm like, okay, well, she's got a gigantic flush draw. She turns over pocket aces. No flush draw. I'm in probably a $1,200 pot, and I am running it with 2 outs. Before anybody flipped over the cards, the guy asked me, you want to run it twice? Of course, I'm like, sure, whatever you want. But the girl doesn't want to run it twice, which I like. That's fine. You can do whatever you want. And she has 2 aces. She's 2 aces as her outs. She's like, I'm drawing dead. I'm like, well, not exactly. You have 2 aces. First card off the deck is on the turn is an ace. And then river. Just got destroyed that session. So went ended up losing 880 that session, and then clawed some back for winning for about 500 for the rest. So not the best week for me, but at least I was able to make a somewhat of recovery.
Yeah, sometimes all you can do, right?
Yeah, it's. You're not gonna win. You're not gonna win every day, every session, or every week. So I was definitely happy to make some type of recovery though.
Well, I guess that's it for me. Do you have anything?
No, I think that's it. I think I'm not sure. We'll know by the time this podcast is out on when it's released on Thursday. I'm going to try to do that Vloggers Week over in Round Rock. There's a good chance I'll be leaving tomorrow. Ben Deach will be there. Poker Face Ash will be there. Ryan DePaulo will be there over in Round Rock at the new 52. So I'm looking forward to that and maybe getting over there. We'll have to see how tomorrow goes, but definitely looking forward.
Perfect. Well, I guess on that note, this concludes the Texas Poker Podcast. We'll talk to you next week.
That was the Texas Poker Podcast. Go ahead and rack up, add time, and we'll see you next week.